Good morning, everyone. Well, NASDAQ continues its advance to higher levels on Facebook's earnings report, which is up. Well, where is Facebook? What was it, up 12? And it was up 12. Now it's up just under 11 points. But we got the NASDAQ futures here up about 7%, continuing the advance. And just mark here's an intraday support right here and around 95.75-ish. But what to do with this if, as far as it's extended? How can we profit from this from a daily perspective as a swing? Well, one of the rules that I use is let it at least break a prior day's low. Now, whether you want to let that happen on a closing basis or an intraday basis is a choice. But nonetheless, it's extended enough at this point to be a little bit more aggressive. And the other option, of course, is half the position short on the break of the low intraday and then wait to see if it closes or even give it another day. So, sometimes these things, they can make a V-top, like right here, and it just tanks, and other times it gets extended, and because buyers are still quite confident, it takes a few days before that confidence turns into uncertainty, and then the break happens. So we don't know how this will form, meaning whether can it break to the downside, and even if it does, it's likely to pop back up. You typically get a second opportunity. So one of the things you want to, not fall into is, I'm going to miss the move. Now, granted, this kind of a, thing, yeah, you miss, but, and then you had the patience to wait for the second opportunity, which was actually a better one, percentage-wise as far as the drop goes, but as far as the ability that, that the odds are that you're not going to get whipsawed when you have a bar that looks like this. Think about what happened there. So when I look at a candlestick pattern, I don't just think about, it's a topping tail or whatever the name may be from the candlestick books. I look at it from the perspective of when this was forming, what were the other traders thinking? So this was a big green candle. Most, of course, had no reason not to. Prices are going higher. It's green. Maybe, it's going to come up here and test the high. Intraday traders are going to be playing to the long side, and rightly so. But then it turns up here and, it starts to fall. And so now you've got a whole bunch of traders and or funds that are afraid of missing the boat, maybe to a move that could possibly go to new all-time highs, and now they're caught. So when you look at these kind of patterns, look at it from the perspective of are a large percentage of individuals or traders caught, and that sets up a high probability trade. In this instance, because of the prior break, to short with a stop up above the top of the topping tail and then manage it accordingly. So what'll happen up here? Well, we don't know. However, we're getting close just based on historically what's happened here. And just looking at the extent of the move, it's gonna turn, and maybe it happens next week. We'll just see. I mean, I don't. This could make a new move here as far as to get beyond what these were, but historically we know we're close. And I covered with you yesterday the internals, which got a little deeper, where traders are buying even more calls versus puts. And another thing to pay attention to here is that the breadth is actually deteriorating. As you can see, the day-to-day breadth here and the intermediate-term breadth, as prices have moved up, it's actually pulling in. So can it pop back up here? Absolutely. And that's one of the things about using internals and trying to pinpoint a high point in the market is that it's not easy. So you have to be patient even when your historical measures, right? Your historical measures of what's extended. We don't use indicators like stochastics and RSI and all that. Those are pretty much useless. But just looking at historical measures as well as market internals, well, that puts you in a high probability area of where the turn is. And then eventually, of course, as we say, price is king. So now, just because prices historically are at a point where they should turn, it doesn't mean that they have to. You wait for some type of a reversal, however that happens, whether it's a topping tail, whether it could go sideways for a little while here, and, you get a breakout failure, which would be a great pattern, if it even in 2 or 3 days, and then a break to the upside and come right back in again, short it under the low, stop above the high, and then see where it goes from there. S&Ps, I mean, you're looking at the patterns and they look great. This is even more controlled, of course, because it's gone sideways a bit. It is lagging, but maybe this will take up the lead here from the NASDAQ, as most of the earnings are being reported that could drive it higher. Interesting enough, Snap is just getting crushed here, and it's getting a bit climactic, and we may get a turn on that. Be watching for that. Twitter taking a hit here this morning, down at 1750-ish, 60-ish, down near this prior low. So this had a nice advance, but right back down again. One that'll be reporting earnings next week on the NASDAQ. Where is that? I put it in my list here. May be playable. I'll just type it in because it's just been going sideways here, and here it made the high and low, and look, it's getting tighter. Lower high, higher low, about the same, higher low. So you can see how it's getting tighter here and potentially getting ready for a move in one direction or the other. And it has been in a nice uptrend. The weekly looks great. So here's Shopify, maybe potentially, if it's going to go the way of the others, could have a pretty nice move to the upside. So I would just, set an alert here, and it might go down. So set an alert and see which way, that might go. Could have a nice move out of that. And, we're going to be looking at this from the perspective of an options play if it makes sense. And we'll take a look at that today. And PayPal doing nicely, almost $61 here, gapping up from a nice consolidation. So gap traders might want to take a look at that. All right, guys, have a great trading day, and we'll talk tomorrow morning.